Hello, this is Shaken, and welcome to the Air Battle Games YouTube channel. Please plan on hitting like and subscribe so you can get more content as it gets released. And make sure to join us at the airbattle.games mailing list at groups.io/g/airbattle. This is a remake of a video covering calculating initial aircraft state. This is being redone to show the current state of the game in early October 2024 as we go through the playtesting process of the second edition of Birds of Prey. So here we have player card number 1, or what we call the A side. We have an E6 BoP. This is the version 1.7.1. We have a log sheet, and we have an aircraft data card, in this case for the F-16C Block 30 Fighting Falcon, or as they're commonly called, the Viper. We are setting up a bomber intercept at moderate altitude, just as an example of play. And so you can see on the log sheet, we already have set up a position of the plane. So we're starting at altitude 35, at a speed of 380 knots, which is 10 in terms of flight points. We've already run initiative and had a base roll of 6, and we got a fix on the bomber, so we are in fix class B, and we'll get to move after the, we do our plotting after the bomber does its move. We've also set some additional things up on the log sheet. So we've placed in the ground altitude, in this case, altitude 3, so about 600 feet. We've put the stores the aircraft's carrying, so it's got ECM pod, an LQ-184 on the center line. It's got 2 AIM-120As out on each wingtip, and then in from the wingtip is a pair of AIM-9Ms. At this point, the plane has gotten any fuel tanks already off. The number of store points sums to 19.5. Our rate of stores points to stores drag is 1 per 4.5, and so that turns out leading us to having 4 stores drag. The wing area here on the ADC is 3.0. Our weight for this scenario is right at combat weight, so it's 22.5. That's in thousands of pounds. Our safe load here also on the ADC is 9.0. Our currently selected weapon is the infrared missile, and the radar is running in dogfight mode. And yeah, that's a pretty typical starting place for your scenario. So we're gonna go ahead and calculate the initial aircraft state. So taking the sheet here, we can see the first step is to calculate the wing loading, noted as double L. This we do at the start of the scenario, and only again when the weight of the aircraft changes. So if you've gotten some fuel off, if you've dropped some stores, expended a missile, that sort of thing, then you'll do this calculation. Otherwise, you'll skip right down to the next step. So in order to do this, we take the wing area, and this you can see is on the HUD side of the FAD. So we change to the HUD side. We take our wing area, which is 3.0, right about here. And under that, we put the weight. And remember, we had the weight was 22.5. So there's 22.5, and we hold those two together, and then we come and look under 10 to find wing loading. And I get a wing loading of right about 74 for that. So we'll go ahead and record that right here on the log sheet. It's up on the top because it doesn't change very often. And then we'll go to the next step. So our next step is to set the altitude and then index K-text to find zoom, keys, and Q. So we actually have to find 3 things in this step. Remember that these open lozenges in blue indicate what we're finding on any given step. So in this step, we'll change to the Mach side, and we set the altitude in the starting altitude. So here's the starting altitude window. Our starting altitude was 35, so down fairly low, 7,000 feet there. And hold that in place. And then we'll look under the knots true altitude on the knots true airspeed on the outer ring. And this is 380. So come around here, to 380. We put the indexer on there, and then we'll read off the other values. And you can see from this, we got a zoom value on the outside of 31. A keys value on the inside here of, looks like 344. And a Q value of pretty much spot on 40. There's always a little play in the calculations. You are going to go and choose the value that's closest to this. Occasionally you may choose to use a fractional value. Something looks like it's in the halfway between, you'll put the half in. Some of that matters more for low performance jets like you see in World War II. But a modern teen fighter like this has all kinds of power, and so you don't really need to worry about the tiny fractions. So our next thing is to find smash, and we're gonna do this by setting the wing loading over the Q. So we have Q already. Remember, the Q is there at 40, so we just leave that in place. And now we swing the wing loading on top of that. And the wing loading was there at 74. So we line that up, 74 over the Q of 40. And then we look up smash. And so smash is down here in the little red window. And I'm getting a value that looks like 5.4. So that's great. We record that here in the smash window, 5.4. Make that a little cleaner so we can read it later. And then we'll go on to the next step, which is to find Mach. So in Mach, we use this keys altitude window. So this is a different altitude scale. It's here in blue. And we're going to set our altitude 35 under our keys of 344. And again, this is one of those scales where it's not that precise because there are lots of small gradations, and it honestly doesn't matter that you're that precise with it. So ending result, our Mach looks like about Mach 0.56. And lastly, we're going to find pitch limit. And so pitch limit, we take the smash value we recently found of 5.4, and we place it over 10. This is flipped over on the HUD side. Remember the little green icon there shows us the HUD side. And so we're taking our smash of 5.4 and we're rolling the 10 underneath of it. Hold that still. And then under max lift, max lift has the little yellow icon for an airplane. That tells us to go to the aircraft data card. And so here's the max lift column on the ADC. And this is indexed by Mach. And our Mach was 0.56, so we grow down until we get to the 60, Mach 0.6, and go across. And we find that the max lift is 34. So we're gonna look above 34 to find the pitch limit. And so 34 is right about there, and our pitch limit looks like about 18.6. It's one you can keep at sort of even numbers, but there's some nice points where the little fractional value is useful. So with that, we have calculated our aircraft state. We are ready to go on to plotting, which will be a subsequent video. Once again, thank you for joining us on the Air Battle Games YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, and join us on our mailing list. Feel free to put questions in the comment section here, or for a better, deeper response, go to groups.io/g/airbattle and ask your questions on the mailing list. Thank you very much.